Yeah, so Mark and I have had many discussions about free speech and philosophy stuff. And before I joined, I didn't really know that Mark was super into free speech. I actually that's not true at all. I did. I knew. Um, I didn't know he was the I don't think I knew he was the president of SAFS though, because I had read some of his articles on like the Canadian newspaper. I think it was like Globe and Mail or maybe like Ottawa Sun or something. Or not Ottawa Citizen. And so at that point, I'd been thinking about free speech because free speech to me is fundamental in a liberal society, in a democracy as a general whole. I have my quips about liberal societies, but as a general whole, I'm a big free speech, freedom of conscience, freedom of religion supporter, and so I had been noticing people getting canceled, right? And this is like 2016. It's happening. It wasn't major. I don't think it was as major as it is now, and I think that's sort of accelerated by more people getting on social and finding all this stuff. So I had been trying to think of ways, like what would the world look like if we just kept going this way, and I thought this would be a terrible world to live in, where all my chats, all my conversations, all my posting on social, 10 years, 20 years from now, when the culture changes, let's say the culture, there are things that we think are true and are not controversial now that 20 years is considered heresy, right? Let's say I suspect that one of them is going to be killing meat for your own food.
Yeah,
that's going to be
wow.
considered.
That was on my mind too.
Yeah. I think that's going to be one of them, and it's a cultural truth that's going to become a universal truth culturally. That's bound to happen. And so I was thinking, okay, what would this world look like? And I definitely don't want to live in this world because I'm thinking in my head. And then I come across this Vitalik guy who I hadn't heard zero about, and I watch this video and I think, well, that'd be crazy if you could build, a dApp on his whatever Ethereum is, which I didn't know what it was, and then you couldn't get canceled because it's not centralized. Thought about it, kind of forgot about it because I was writing my thesis, and then in 2018, at the end of 2017, at the end of 2017 when the massive bull run happened, I got into crypto even more and I started learning about it, but I didn't have the conviction because it was still so new in my head because I'm trying to wrap my head around it. I'm thinking, okay, I gotta have skin in the game, so I gotta buy like just a tiny fraction of it just to see what it's like. And then once I got it, and then it was like CryptoKitties that was sort of booming up, and I thought, is this the only use case of Ethereum? After that,
what are CryptoKitties?
CryptoKitties they're the first popular NFT project that was launched on the Ethereum blockchain, and they are cats, generative cats that can be bred and sold, and they have rarity scores, and that project essentially crashed the Ethereum mainnet in 2017, 2018 because there was just too many, and it was like so I got into crypto essentially through that Vitalik thing, and then now having since then, it's been a few years, I've become fully convicted of the power of crypto and how crypto can essentially change the way that we live in this world, right? It's going to be very hard to cancel people, and that's one. I think the other very important thing to me is with crypto, you'll see a rise in people owning their digital data, which we don't have right now, right? Nobody owns their digital data. Facebook owns everything. They sell it to marketers. Google owns your data. They sell it to marketers, and you see zero of the profit, right? I think with crypto, you're going to see people having ownership of their digital data. There's a book, I'm trying to remember what the book is by. It's by a father and son, and in that book, I think it's like Blockchain Revolution might be the book, and they're talking about how you can see a world where there's a world where crypto allows people to essentially have a black box, right, where all their data feeds in, nobody can see it, and on the other end are marketers, companies who want to use their data for research, and then the and the person on the other end of black box says, okay, I'm going to release X amount of my information, and then for that I'm going to take a cut, and then you sell it. But all your information's stored inside of this black box. And that, reading that book convinced me of how powerful crypto can get. And then Balaji, who I believe you also know, Balaji
Srinivasan.
Thank you, Srinivasan.
Yeah.
His crypto cities and the power of crypto cities, that was like, this all makes sense now. You could see a world where people vote with their money, and people vote. He has how to build a future city. You build in the cloud first, and then you work your way down and buy land. And that was, to me, it's like, that makes so much sense. All generation after us, their whole life is going to be digital, right? It's going to be very weird for them to not think that their life is not on digital, right? You and I became friends on the internet,
Right.
on the internet, which, our parents were like, are you sure you can trust people on the internet? And now we're like, yeah, let's hang out. Let's have a podcast conversation. Let's call each other. But that generation after us, that's the whole thing. Like, Discord is popping off with Gen Z stuff. There are quite a few Discord groups that I'm part of, and it's like, it's as if you meet somebody, and then if you're part of the same community, you have the same vision, then you're essentially creating. People are looking for community as we go digital, and as more people become less religious, they need to mimic what religion does in their lives, which is a community. Essentially, it's just a community, a very strong community that's mission minded. And Discord groups that have NFT projects, or it could be anything, they're very mission minded and they have a sense of community. You could ask a question about life, right? You could be like, I'm thinking of buying a house in this region. Does anybody live in this area, or is anybody a real estate agent that can help me out? And somebody's, for sure, if they're there, they'll be like, yep, I'm a real estate agent here, XYZ, this is my take on it. And then you can hop on a call and you have a whole conversation. Right. Yeah, so I think crypto's going to allow a world where it becomes uncancelable. You can be sort of pseudonymous. I don't think you can be fully anonymous, but you could be pseudonymous. It'll allow people to vote with their money better, right? If you have like Miami, Francis Suarez is, they have Miami coin now, right? And people can buy into that coin. I forget the tokenomics for it, but I don't know. I forget the tokenomics for how Miami coin works. But in the future, you could see where each city has their own token. So Ottawa could have a Ottawin coin, and if you move to Ottawa, then you get a certain amount of Ottawin coins. And obviously, just like how crypto works, the more projects that happen in Ottawa, building, if you're able to bring in more money into the city, whether that's businesses, VCs, startups, whatever it is, families, then the value of the Ottawa coin rises, and the holder of that, benefits. Right? I benefit from holding Ottawa coins. Whereas right now, I live in Ottawa. Shopify is booming. The Parliament Hill is booming with, they have all the money. They're spending like nobody's business. I'm profiting zero, right? Inflation's gone up. But if we had Ottawa coins, then I have an incentive to be like, okay, I'm going to make my city better. I'm going to help attract better businesses. I think there'll be a greater incentive to actually build your city up, as opposed to simply being on the losing end of living in a city.
Yeah. So just to drill down into, I want to say one thing about voting, and then I want to drill down into asking you how Ethereum and crypto prevents cancellation. But with voting, this is straight from Balaji Srinivasan, who, if you don't know who he is, just look up his name on YouTube. I'll put a link in the description below. But it's like the arguments he makes are so damn persuasive. It's shocking. So with voting, you can go to the ballot box. You can vote with your ballot. But then there's also voting with your money by paying lobbyists, by paying for political campaigns. And then there's voting with your feet. And I think voting with your feet is the most powerful thing you can do. It's the greatest repudiation of the way a country is run, to just emigrate out of it and move to a different one. And so I think that was in large part why I moved away from Montreal. I'm in Calgary right now. It was because I wanted to protest the curfew and the vaccine passport. And I thought that Alberta wouldn't bring in a vaccine passport system. And so, man, was I wrong. I thought that it would be politically untenable for Kenney to bring one in because he had way too many people in his cabinet and in his party who were intolerant of the restrictions. And so then I booked my ticket, and then 15 days later, after I found a new place and all of that, he says, we're bringing one in, and don't get me wrong, like the restrictions in Alberta are looser than the restrictions in Quebec. And I think everyone makes fun of the name restriction exemption program, but it's honestly much more, as someone who's libertarian minded, I think that the assumptions behind the name matter, and his assumptions are more in tune with mine, where it's not about leaving you out of society like a passport does. It's about saying, if you are vaccinated, then you have fewer restrictions on you. I still disagree with it, but I think that at least the assumptions are better, and you aren't blocked out of society. So like, if I don't have a vaccine, if I don't show proof of my vaccination to a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym in Quebec, then they're not going to let me participate. If I don't show it to a place in Alberta, then I can still participate. I just have to socially distance 1 meter from everyone else and be with the same training partner.
Which is better than not training at all.
Exactly.
Right?
Exactly.